If looks could kill. Just joking. But seriously, in today's video, I want to talk to you about that time I almost joined the OTO and a little bit about Aleister Crowley. So welcome back to my channel. To those of you who are new here, my name's Fola. To those joining again, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to share a bit about this topic that just sort of came to me, but I felt like I had to talk about this because it's been something that sort of people have told me I should be ashamed about, I guess, if I can put it that way. But as a Scorpio sun and someone who loves metaphysics and the occult, I feel like this is a huge part of my life. So let's get into it. To those of you who don't know who Aleister Crowley is, he was a writer, ceremonial magician, potentially a spy, and occultist from like the late 1800s to the 1900s. And I believe he was born somewhere in England area, and he was quite well known for his, how would we say, different views and how to utilize passion and the experience of sexuality and different sorts of things with magic and creating the life that you want. But he really took things quite deep, and I think that's where he gets a lot of flack. He had once referred to himself and was quite praising himself for being known as the wickedest man in the world. So I think that kind of shows you a bit about who this guy was. But he was also quite well known for his statement of do what thou wilt. And I think a lot of people associate that statement with like Satanism and these like dark sort of things. But really it's about what lights you up. And I think what I've learned over the last couple years is that is maybe why I've been so drawn to the ideas, or I guess we could say like the archetype or characteristics of who Aleister Crowley is. He was also part of a variety of different secret societies or occultist groups, including the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, also known as the Order of the Temple of the East. And I think it was him that had kind of started the British chapter of this German-based group. But he did a lot. He wrote a lot. He has some really interesting stories, like short stories, and they're just really mind expanding because it makes you look at life in a very different way, which as a Scorpio and as someone who's mixed and always kind of maybe been like an outlier sort of different person, I appreciate. And since I was young, I guess I could say I was drawn to like occult and different types of spirituality, but didn't really look into it because I was told it was evil and it was really demonized and looked down upon. So I kind of felt this guilt for even being interested in this. But it was like quite a few years ago. I remember at one point I just had not by chance, come across some documentary about Aleister Crowley, and I decided to watch it, not really knowing what or who he was. And the thing about that documentary, it was just like this eye-opening sort of experience for me. I was like, oh, this guy and like the things he did and the controversy around him from, you know, the politicians and all the people in society who wanted to like kind of hush and quiet this view of like connecting to ourselves. And that night, actually, the day I had watched the documentary, I had a very interesting experience. I had gone to bed and I was just laying there and like, I don't know, it's kind of like a hypnagogic or a hypogogic sort of between the sleeping state and the awake state. I think I fell asleep, but at the same time, I remember being awake. And all of a sudden, through the open door, Crowley like came in to the bedroom and I could not move. Like this was major like sleep paralysis. I'd say this is like one of the first times I'd really had sleep paralysis. And he basically just sat there right beside me in the bed and like started to like rub my head. Just like, you know, go to sleep, it's okay. And I remember looking up and I'm like, what the is happening? And then boom, it was morning. So it was a very interesting experience to say the least. And I feel like that was kind of what like sparked a lot more of my interest. Maybe some people might say that I was possessed. I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like I was the same person. It was just this different altered state and experience that I had. So that kind of was what stemmed more of my searching and being interested in different forms of initiation and different understandings of the occult and esoteric, different mystery schools. So I've had my experience in some of those things. But then I ended up meeting a group of people who were studying the Kabbalah. And there's something about the Kabbalah that's really intrigued me about us as like humans being able to move and like flow through these different states of life experiences and having different understandings about like the universe and our source creator, that universal intelligence. And this group led me to the OTO. So in my infinite wisdom, I thought that would be a good idea and that I would be prepared for that. And my ex would probably say and laugh at me in this video because he was quite adamant this is not a good idea. But I am very grateful for my brief exposure to what was technically sort of, in my opinion, an initiation, not necessarily into the OTO, but more so into my path to wisdom and knowledge and truth. And I think really when it comes down to it, this probably is in most alignment with Aleister Crowley anyway, is that you just need to do what you need to do for you and trust the path that you're on and go in the direction that feels right for you, which is really what I feel like this channel is about and where I stand. And with Access Consciousness, which is another modality that I really enjoy learning and kind of implementing into my life, is the idea that everything is an interesting point of view, and it's all from each of our own judgments and perspective of what is right or wrong, good or bad. And I think this is something that Crowley really highlighted for me, is the fact that we can just be who we are or who we need to be and live life from that place of non-judgment, because it's in that judgment that things don't always end up so good. And I don't really know, his life situation, what really was my connection to that, if we want to go into past life weird stuff. But I feel like there was some learning that occurred for me, and my willingness to step into that, even though at that time in my life it resulted in a major fear reaction, which is why I have not followed through with that. I learned so much about where am I in my power and how much of my power do I give away to others, and how much of my curiosity, as my teacher, I can hear her in my background there, how much of that curiosity am I willing to go into without putting up my boundaries and being safe? And I really think we need to be mindful, because so many people join groups and take part in initiations or joinings or following certain belief systems without truly listening to the intuition, the inner guidance, because you already have all that wisdom, that knowledge inside of you. So I just want you to remember that, please, because you are a powerful being. But overall, I just feel really thankful, and I wanted to share this story with you because it is true to my heart. And no matter where you are and what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, know that you are in every moment being initiated in some way on your life path. And it doesn't need to look like any particular way. You just need to live it and be it and trust that you are being guided through. So thank you so much for watching this video. I would say check out Crowley stuff, but maybe that will open a whole other world for you. I don't know. You do what you need to do. If you felt like this video is worth your little thumbs up, you can hit the like button, and also feel free to subscribe so you're updated about future releases on my channel, where I'm talking about all things spiritual, mental health, psych nursey, and amazing magic. You guys have a lovely day.